My name's Amy Mayer, and my business is friEdTechnology, and it's a weird name, I know, but I used to be an English teacher, and when I was an English teacher, I came up with this idea to tell my students that it wasn't going to be regular English class, it was going to be fried. Because even if you eat broccoli, I mean, if it's fried, it's good, right? So it's not going to be like regular
Oh,
English, it's going to be fried English. And I had a blog, and it was called Fried English. And so when I kind of left the teaching field and went into technology, I wanted to continue blogging. And so I thought, what am I going to call this? And I called my blog friEdTechnology. And in my field of education, my company serves K-12 educators. You kind of get to be known by whatever names you use online. So I had a Twitter account, it was friEdTechnology. I had a blog that was friEdTechnology. So when people started asking me to come to their schools or come to their districts, and I started doing consulting work, they would call me friEdTechnology. So that's Amy from friEdTechnology, or that's friEdTechnology. And so the name just kind of stuck, and that's what it is to this day. And I think you asked me another part to this question that I forgot already.
no, just you covered everything. What was your
Oh, good.
background, name of the company? You know, I'm born and raised in Texas, so I can agree from being somebody from the South that everything is better fried.
Right? That's the
Uh,
idea.
right. So you did cover a little bit about, I was going to ask you how that led to starting your own company. So you were a teacher, and then now you're what, helping other teachers and school districts in what turns out to be a really critical time to transition into cloud and technology and internet based education.
Right. I mean, I've been passionate about this field for a really long time since I was a teacher, and I saw how technology integration could transform education and how much more relevant technology integration made my field. As an English teacher, I taught English and French, and sometimes kids just don't really feel the relevance of subjects like that. How am I going to use literature in my daily life? Why does this matter to me? And so when I could integrate technology, I had a good answer to that question. Yeah, we're going to cover the state standards, but we're going to use technology to do that. And so at the same time, you're going to be learning these really valuable technology skills that you can take with you to college or into your career. And it just lent a relevance that I don't think can be there a lot of times for students studying Shakespeare in 2021 without technology. So I really loved it from the beginning because I saw how it brought kids to life. And then I also saw on the flip side how many teachers were made really uncomfortable by technology being a part of the classroom. And I started just in my own school where I was a teacher offering technology professional development to other teachers. And I really enjoyed that. I saw teachers changing the way they were teaching. I saw students enjoying school more. And so I sort
Mhm.
of took that outside the classroom. I started to go to conferences and share what we were doing in my school and what I was doing in my classroom. And it just sort of naturally grew from there. People started offering me money, and I can't say no to that. So I did. And now I think we have 14 people as of today who do this work at friEdTechnology full time, all day long, every day. And then we have about 40 people who we 1099 who
Mhm.
do this during the summer. They take days of vacation from their regular job to come and work with us and do this work with teachers all over the United States. So it's really a wonderful time from a business perspective and from a mission perspective to be in the field that I'm in. And obviously, 2020 was a really fantastic year from us from a revenue perspective because every school person in the United States needed suddenly technology. It was no longer optional. It became absolutely necessary in 2020. And now I think people kind of get it. Like, we can't push this off any longer. We can't like pretend like as educators we're not a part of the 21st century anymore.
Yeah, I really love what you all are doing over there. It's kind of like to reach children today, you have to meet them in the space that they're already at, but that's not always, it's not always comfortable for teachers. There's so many technologies out there. It's hard to find which one you want to use and how to implement it. And it's all about the best practices, right? How
Yes.
to implement it, how to use it on a daily basis. And then um, I know my son is 13 and he's all about his phone.
Yeah.
He has a desktop for gaming, but he doesn't want a tablet. He doesn't want a laptop. He's very mobile oriented,
Right.
and
It's really changed.
it has.
Yeah.
So you said a couple of accounting buzzwords there. You said 1099, and you said, yeah, I know, I heard that. So it's that kind of transitions us into some other questions about this business kind of grew organically. So a lot of people like yourself that have become very successful, especially in a challenging time like 2020. Um, what were some of the challenges and maybe that first time that you realized that if I want to grow this business and accomplish my mission, which I love that comment that you made so much because what we do is we help our clients with their missions. We work with mission-based businesses, and a lot of people think nonprofit when you talk about mission, but that's not necessarily true. A lot of for-profit companies are driven by mission-driven individuals. So what was that first moment that you realized, if I want to grow this and really turn it into something that's going to last, I have to do my bookkeeping and taxes and what's a 1099 and who has to be on it and that kind of thing.
Right. Well, I had a lot of really bad experiences that led me to understand. So, I
Oh
mean,
no.
if you're watching this and you haven't had any bad experiences yet, just call today's CFO before that happens to you instead of after. So, I
Oh
mean,
my
this,
goodness.
obviously, this is account. The world of accounting is not my forte. I mean, I'm not passionate about it. It's not what I do. And so when business got to a certain level, I started really kind of freaking out about what are my taxes going to be? Am I saving enough money to pay these taxes that are
Mm,
inevitably going to come due? And when I was doing this even just by myself and with a couple of people that I was giving 1099s and then I was paying myself, I had no idea if I was doing it right. I mean, and it kept me up at night. It was the thing that made me, wake up in a sweat in the middle of the night. And I thought, why am I doing this to myself? There's no amount of money that I would not pay to not wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat wondering if I'm going to have to deal with the IRS. There isn't any. And so, I mean, I had to find people that I really trusted because I'm not going to make it my field. I'm not going to dig into every aspect of a business structure or how accounting practices work. And so when I found out that you guys were doing this, it was so perfect for me because I've known you for such a long time and I
yeah.
deeply trust you. I've known you since you were a teenager and Kristen too. And I know what kind of people you are. And to me, that just gave me such a peace. And I have a peace in recommending you to other people I know who are business owners. I know you guys help Biscuit Eater and
Oh
and
yeah,
I
we
I
love them.
love them very much. They're wonderful people and it was great for me to be able to call them and say, hey, I know you're working on this. At the time I think they were looking at the PPP loan and whether that would be right for
Hmm.
them. And I love to be able to call Misty and Gary and say, you guys need to call these people. I 100% trust them and I wouldn't recommend them to you if I didn't. And so knowing that I've got your attention, knowing that if I email you guys and I have a question or I have a panicky moment, I can contact you right then. You're going to get back to me. I mean, I don't think you guys have ever not gotten back to me the same day. I'm sure you can't guarantee that, but so far it's always been the same day. It just gives me such a peace of mind. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I cannot say enough good things about it. If you're a business owner and you're thinking about calling today's CFO or getting people involved in your business who know this, do not wait another day because I don't know, maybe, like I had a fear initially about even talking to people in your field because I figured like I've screwed so much stuff up now. Like I'm going to be judged, as a
They're gonna
business
shame
owner.
you and
Right, right.
oh
Like they're
yeah,
they're going to
that
be like, you didn't do this right. And
no.
and you guys have never ever done that. You never made me feel stupid. And when I say Tom, I don't care about that and I don't want you to keep explaining it to me, then you'll just stop and just say, well, this is what I think you ought to do. And I love that. That's the best. I love it.
It's funny you mentioned that because that is one of our core values is, our expertise is accounting and not to expect everybody else's expertise to be accounting. So I developed that because over the last couple of years, I've seen comments by other CPAs and tax professionals and bookkeepers going, "Oh my gosh, can you believe my client is doing
Right.
this?" And the
Yes, I
first thing
can
I
believe
think is,
that.
sure, I can believe that because
Right.
just like, I would have no idea how to hold a training seminar, nor do I want to know the right,
Right.
all the ins and outs of the technology and I know you guys are Google partners, which is no small accomplishment. And, most of the entrepreneurs that I work with, they're very passionate about their industry and service and helping their clients and being the best. And, they spend all their time in that space. Like they don't
Exactly.
go to tax seminars or
No, never.
IRS webinars,
Not
and I
once.
don't go to Google partner conferences. So,
Ah,
that's why I don't expect and don't want our clients to have to be experts in that industry. That's my job, and I'm not going to
exactly.
complain about my job. So,
Exactly. Yes, when
it's
I hear people here say, "Can you believe the teachers didn't know that?" I say,
sure,
"Yes, I'm
right,
super happy that they don't know this because literally we don't have a job if they know this." So, yes, I can 100% understand your perspective.
right. So, and you had no. Did you have any financial background before you started this business?
None at all. I mean, like, I can balance my personal checkbook. That's about it. And I mean, I watch Shark Tank. There's the rest of my,
Oh, I
business
love that show.
knowledge right there. Yeah, I do too. And I did learn a lot of terminology and I did, have a lot of time watching Shark Tank thinking about my own business and how it might relate to that and what would I say if someone asked me that. But no, I have no business background at all. And I tell people that all the time. I'm an educator, not a business person. And so I don't even want to talk about prices with people. I love that we work through Google because a lot of times Google
Hmm.
pays us. We work with the school districts. We don't have to talk to school districts about money because that's not a matter that they need to worry about with us.
Yeah, that's a good point. um, you know, it would be like we don't want anybody to not start a business because they're worried about taxes or finances or all the government entities and the changing laws. We watch that and stay on top of it. Just like no teacher should have to think about not becoming a teacher because they
Right.
don't know or they're not good with technology. It's an acquired skill that can be learned from somebody who's really focused on that. So,
Exactly.
there are a lot of people out there that have anxiety and stress over financials, growing their business and the tax implications of that. It really is a very emotional
Yes.
situation. And we do talk to a lot of people who, like yourself, they're embarrassed or they're like, oh, I hear this all the time. I love it. They're like, oh, I'm the worst case you've ever came across.
Right.
And I'm like, try me.
And you're like, probably you're not. Probably you're not
Right.
any of the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people make all the same mistakes, and that's why I
Uh,
tell them like you're not alone. Everybody makes the same mistakes going into business. Um, even on like the technology side of things, whenever we transitioned in the pandemic, I sent people home with computers, and we had to beef up our security and training, and even the little things like how to spot a email scam and stuff like that.
right.
So we've all got those areas, and I think it's just there's so many IRS horror stories that we hear
Yes.
that sometimes people say, I don't want to have to deal with this, and a lot of business owners, they come to us with a letter from the IRS, and
Right.
those can be really scary
They
because
are.
yeah, it's in their hand in black and white, and the IRS doesn't give you instructions or directions
No.
on what to do next. It just says,
You did it
like,
wrong. And
right,
now
we've
we're coming.
automatically
Yes.
assessed a penalty. And people don't know that that's not necessarily, you can go ahead and file your taxes and they'll just reverse that. And it's a real problem because the IRS and these other government organizations, they can be very procedural. And
Yes.
it's not emotional, it's not personal. It's just they're following their procedures and their systems. And things like that. We've been getting clients who've been getting letters that are dated in the future just because of a computer glitch. And
Yeah,
it's just something that has to be dealt with. No, it's that one more thing on your plate, one more hat you've got to wear. And
exactly. That you
so have
don't
you
want to put on.
exactly. So, have you ever found yourself in that kind of situation or worry that you would?
Oh, yes. So I
Yeah.
got audited, which is
Oh, okay.
extremely unusual for an S corp, I hear. So I'm
That's
one of the
rare.
few, the proud S corp owners who's been audited. And actually, it was all incredibly stressful. It took literally years to resolve. And obviously, I'm not with the accountant that did my taxes the year that that happened any longer. And I have no fears of that ever happening to me again because I'm with you guys and I know that what we're doing is just it's right. The accountant who did my taxes that year got fired, but
Mm,
that didn't really make me feel any better. And the company that he worked for did nothing to support me. So it was just
no.
a truly terrible situation. I actually had way overpaid because of an accounting mistake that they made, and I ended up getting money back. So it all turned out in my favor, but it took 2 years to resolve. Now, when you're a business owner, you can't do much for those 2 years because, oh, you need a small business loan to get to the next level. Well, you can't get that because you're under audit right now. Many, many things that you would love to do as a business owner cannot be done when you're waiting for an audit to occur. And there's not a lot of way to speed it up. So you just don't want to get yourself in that situation to begin with. And that would be my advice to someone to avoid it is work with today's CFO and let them put their eyes on what you're doing from an accounting perspective. And what I have learned is there's almost nothing that can't be corrected or undone later, even with the IRS. If you work with somebody who understands how the rules work, how to do the communications, who they need to contact, and you've just got to have the right people on your side. And thank goodness I found you guys and all of that is resolved. But I can't even, there are no words to say how stressful it was.
Yeah, that's a long time. But that's really great advice. I really appreciate you sharing that and sharing that story with us. It's very difficult, and you're right. When you're going after loans, or even sometimes if you need a bond for a large contract, or some clients require that you're not under audit or that you
Right.
have a certain level of insurance, and that can be hard when
Exactly.
stuff like that's going on. And it's so procedural. We get a lot of frustration ourselves, and we feel the client's frustration when you just want something to move along right now.
Exactly.
And it can take weeks to hear back. And um, we just constantly have to reassure people the process is working. It just is really slow. And they're like, well, can you call? And we can, but they just tell you you're gonna have to wait. And it's one of those hurry up and wait situations, right?
Yes. It was the whole thing was miserable, but I think that the best thing to do is just prevent being in that position to begin with if you can. And the best way to do that is to work with people who really know their stuff. Like you're not going to probably start working with teachers, and I'm probably not going to start working with taxes. And so that's why we need each other.
Right.
So
Well, you've covered a lot on my next question, which is, you started working with us several months ago, and we're actually working on like a long-term tax planning strategy. And that is, and for anybody who's listening or watching that doesn't know, the tax strategy is legal and ethical usage of these vehicles that the IRS and the government actually has given to help small businesses. A lot of people don't realize that 80% of our economy is made up by small businesses. We're
wow.
focused on like the large Disney and Facebook and Google, and they do contribute heavily. They produce tens of millions of jobs. But still 80% comes from the small business community. And so the government puts a lot of, people like to call them tax loopholes, but really they're tax advantages for small businesses to help bolster them in the economy, because the government really does love small business. And one of the really big ones that people are familiar with is like the R&D tax credits, but there's so many more out there that small business owners can take advantage of. So you know when it comes to like tax planning specifically, how has working with the team here at today's CFO changed your business and kind of made some of those things available to you?
Well, I mean, for one thing, it made me kind of regretful of all of the years that I hadn't been working with you guys, because I was looking at those numbers as they were coming up in the report that you guys made for me and thinking, how much money have I like essentially thrown out the window because I didn't know about these things, these tax hacks or whatever you want to call them, that are, like you said, they're perfectly legal and ethical, and other people were taking advantage of them. And I wasn't, because I didn't know about them. And it just, like you're probably going to have that moment if you've been doing business for a while where you have to move past that and just think, okay, well, let me look at all the years ahead of me that I now will be reaping the benefits of this. Like Kristen taught me about the Augusta, what's it called?
The
Augusta
Augusta rule, yeah.
the Augusta rule, where, and I was already doing what it required me to
Right.
do, which was just having meetings at my house. I already did that. Well, I did that forever, and I never took advantage of that because I didn't know it existed. And now I'm going to, and it's going to essentially, it puts so much money back in my pocket because I don't now have to give that to the federal government. I can keep more of what I'm making. And I'm not a person who wants to get out of paying taxes. I want to pay my fair share. But,
Absolutely.
before I called you guys, I was kind of like, I really can't believe that this is my fair share. And then, I found out that really it's not. Really, I could be paying a lot less than I was. And already, just in the months we've been working together, I can't remember the total amount you guys have saved me, but it's a very significant amount of money. So
Hmm.
just don't wait. I mean, I think I said that already before, but just like don't wait another year. Don't think, well, I'll call next month when I'm less busy. This is going to make you less busy, and it's going to make you make more money with the work you're already doing. And so that's the big takeaway. Like you're going to spend less on the services than you're going to get back from taking advantage of the laws that you don't know about. And so I feel like when I pay you guys every month, like I'm getting paid probably double or triple that every month in the savings that I'm making through having smart strategies.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, a lot of the things that we do are proactive, and that is the sense of urgency, right? Is we got to start now. And I tell everybody, when's the best time to plant a tree? Today.
Yes.
So um, we the typical tax preparer toolkit is to do two things. You write off every business expense that you possibly can, and then you fully depreciate everything that you possibly can. And what that really ends up doing is, one, you're still only reporting what happened last year. It's not a proactive strategy. It's already said and done. We're just
Right.
tallying the total for what already happened. And the other thing is it makes you look broke. So anybody
Right.
looking to buy a house or get a
Well, that's a
loan,
great point.
I mean, that's what you don't want to do, right? You don't want to lower your net income. You don't want to fully depreciate all your assets, because then the bank looks at you and they go, well, we can't give you a mortgage. You're not really worth anything.
Oh, that's such a
It
great point,
happens all the
Tom.
time.
It does.
And the methods that we use, they're designed to keep money flowing. So like the Augusta loophole is a great example. You're already doing those meetings, but it's just the procedural part for the IRS to report the meetings. As small business owners, we don't think about reporting our meetings
Right.
and holding on to those minutes. And then if you do get audited again, then no problem. Here's my
Right.
meeting minutes. It's totally legit. And it's not about, like you said, it's not about paying your fair share. We all want to pay our fair share. And it's about getting money to flow because you're going to spend more with other small businesses. That gives you more cash flow. You can hire more employees. Those taxes are going to get paid through payroll. So everything still gets paid. It just gets paid out in different areas.
Yeah, yeah, well, very well said.
So, how does it change the way that you approach your business, knowing that you have a team of experts to leverage in the financial area of your business? You don't have to go to those IRS webinars or
Or even call them, which is the
yeah,
best.
yep,
I mean, it gives me more time to do what I'm good at. I'm really good at what I do, and I love what I do, and
yeah,
it's what I want to be doing. I don't want to be sitting around stressing, but really, I mean, the number one thing that you get from it is confidence. And confidence is going to help you in everything you do every day, all day long. And now I feel confident. I can talk about my business better. I'm a better business owner because I use your services and don't try to spend 30% of my time or whatever doing these things that I hate, I'm slow at, I'm not good at. I do it wrong and have to do it over again. I mean, it was really the worst when I was trying to even do these things myself. And it was just a stressful part of my day every day. And I felt like it just sucked the energy from everything else I did when I was trying to do these things that I'm not good at and that I don't know about. And so it's given me energy back into doing what I am good at.
yeah. That's a really good point. I recently hired a web designer for the same reason because I would spend so much time in the weeds grinding away on WordPress and plugins, and it took one thing to break, or uh, the funniest thing is the instructions will tell you install this, but then I'd have to go Google and research how to install it, how to install it on my platform, how to install it on my platform with my version. And the tax laws, this is why I hired the web developer, because I was like, man, I'm doing the exact same thing that I tell my clients not to do.
Yes, you
Do
were.
not go Google for tax advice, because you never know when a new bill has amended something and you're getting outdated advice. And during the pandemic and all that, things were changing really rapidly with those relief bills that came out. So I'm sure you've come across that too, where people are like, "Oh, well, I can look this up on YouTube or
Uh-huh.
Google," and how does that work out for them? Probably about the same as
Yeah.
it did for me, right?
No, it probably worked out better for you than it did for them because you're extremely technically capable, but we call it homeschooling. So there's nothing wrong with homeschooling, and some people do it really, really well, but there are some things that should not be homeschooled. One is your hair dye. Like, you don't have to worry about this, but many other
I'll
people
keep that
do.
in
And
mind.
we always say, don't homeschool your hair, don't homeschool your taxes, and don't homeschool your professional development. So you also should not homeschool your web page, because there are people who do that all day long every day, and you want to take advantage of their expertise, which you found out, and that's great. We're having somebody redesign our website right now, and we're a technology company. I mean, we know technology too, but that's not what we do. So we're going to hire somebody who that is what they do, to make it exactly right, so that we don't have to spend, who knows, 10-30% of our time messing with a web page that
Hmm.
she already knows how to do because it's her thing. And yeah, we get involved with school districts, and they've done, some of them have done a fantastic job with professional development, and they're like, why do we need to hire you? Well, because you can't do this all day long every day, because you have a whole job that you have to do that is not teaching
Yeah.
teachers. And that's literally all we do. So we can be the very best at it. Like you said, the IRS comes out with new rules. Google changes every single day. Do you know what Google changed yesterday? Probably not, because it
No.
doesn't
And
matter to
they're
you.
real cryptic about it sometimes too.
They are. Sometimes we get, information before other people do. We have an
Hmm.
NDA with Google so we can find out, so we can prepare for when changes happen. And sometimes it's just a surprise to all of us. So, But
Yep.
we find out just as soon as it happens, and then we can give people the very best information that's available. And I think that's exactly what you guys do.
But even you bring up a good point. Even if you're finding out at the exact same time as everybody else, you've got your whole background and expertise that you can leverage that's going to solve it way faster and way better. I mean, and
Exactly.
for me, it also comes to burnout. So you're right. I am a technical person. I love that stuff. I would love to sit down and learn about WordPress just on a, hey, let's mess with this curiosity level. But, it comes to burnout. Like whenever you get stuck in the weeds on something on your business, it feels like, man, I could be learning a new tax, studying tax law. I could be doing my CPE credits. I could
Right.
be doing all these other things. And I've really started to focus on in my area, what I'm doing right now going to make my client's mission possible? And website development just didn't chalk up to it.
Right, right.
It
And
didn't
you
make the
also have
cut.
to think
So
about, and I hope every business owner thinks about this, how much money do I make an hour doing what I do best? So everybody needs to think about that, like figure out, what do you think you made last year? What, if you know what you made last year, figure out how many hours is that in an average work week, and do a calculation and look at what that number is. And then think about how much is it going to cost me to hire somebody to do this work, and it's almost certainly going to be less than what you could make in that same time, because it's going to take you many, many times as many hours as it is somebody who's a professional in that field to accomplish that. And you don't have to pay them the number of hours it would take you to do it. You're going to pay them the number of hours it would take them to do it. And they're 10 times, 20 times, 50 times faster than you are, because that's their field.
yeah, you're right. I mean, you could do the calculation. What is
Yes,
your hour worth? And I'll tell people all the time, go, let me worry about this. Go make another sale. Like, go
exactly.
sell something. Pay for my fee while you're, doing what you do best.
Yeah,
And
and you will. And if it hurts you to think about paying somebody else, that's a great way to put it on paper and look at it, so that you can really figure out if that time you're spending doing something that's not your core business is a good idea or not. And I seriously doubt it will be.
right. And in your case, any school district that knows, well, every school district needs to know about technology and integrating it to the classrooms, but also providing that expert resource to it to teachers. I think a lot of teachers got really frustrated this last year because suddenly they had to learn to use Zoom or Google Classroom or Blackboard. And, there were all these different solutions. And, I saw a lot of people just going, I did not sign on to be a technology expert. I'm a
Right,
teacher.
right,
And they've got their expertises, right? Their science, their math, their literature. And you're the perfect example of you know bringing the solution to keep the teachers and everybody else that's trying to do their job where they're best suited and where they're
exactly.
comfortable. I honestly can't think of a better way to burn out a teacher than challenge them every single day with technology issues. And entrepreneurs are the same. You just let them do what they do, let them do what they know, what they love, and they'll do it every single day. But
Right.
you just you throw something like a tax situation at them, and nobody wants to run a business after that, or
No,
make them do
no.
their own accounting, and they're like, nope, I'm good.
Right. I think it must be why a lot of small businesses fail early on. I mean, because I know I had to get past that point too, where I thought, this is just not worth it. Like, the stress is not worth it. This having to do this work that I hate and am not good at it is not worth it. And if I hadn't found professionals at that point, I think I would have just gone back to, my director job in a school district. I mean, it paid well. I didn't have to worry about any of
Hmm.
that. And I'm so glad I made that switch so that I could build this business. And now all these people who work here have a livelihood doing something that they really love because I didn't try to keep doing that myself.
Yeah, people like yourself are so important to our economy and our society because you create those jobs for others. And you possess a very special skill set where you're kind of a jack of all trades. I mean, every entrepreneur I know has that. I can do this. I can learn it. I can tackle this. I can tackle anything. And they can. They usually can.
Yes. But
And
should
that's
you?
yeah, exactly. That's the biggest. That's the biggest downfall is we get sucked into this. It's a challenge. I should be able to
Yes.
do this kind of
Right.
thing. So,
That's you with WordPress, isn't it?
oh, it was. Oh my gosh, I had to accept defeat. It was soul crushing, but I went and did my CPE credits instead.
Right. You're a better man for doing those
Exactly.
CPE credits and not continuing the struggle with WordPress.
Oh, exactly. Well, um, so what was your main concern that would have prevented you from investing in a service like this? Because I know that you said you had a bad experience with somebody, and I just wish I did not hear that as much as I do, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
it does make people skeptical, especially
Right.
working remote. And now everybody's working remote. So we've been doing the cloud based, they called it before, and then they transitioned it to virtual, and now it's remote. But we've been doing this for several years. It was a lot tougher before everything went into the lockdown and everything in 2020. It was more difficult for people to understand, but um, it's gotten more accepted now. But it is still stressful for people to think, how do I trust you? How can
Right.
I get you my information, and are you going to really be there if something goes wrong, or are you just going to say, oh, gotta go?
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Too
know
bad. Can't call you
we've
back
we've
today.
heard of
Yeah.
people that happens. They get audited, and like you said, the company that got them in that situation is nowhere to be found. And
Right.
I guess it's a gesture that they did let that person go, but I mean, really, that person should have been retrained, and
Yes.
so that they don't do it to someone else.
Right.
And they should have been there to fix the problem. So, that it's a
I didn't
trust
even
issue.
have anybody to email at that company when he
Oh,
left.
wow.
Yeah, not even a contact. It was really unbelievable. But I mean, to your question, it's and I think you already know what the answer is. It's really all about trust. I mean, you have to trust somebody. And that's why when you asked me if I would do this interview today, I immediately, I hope I emailed you back within 5 minutes and said
I
yes.
think it was.
I do think it was
Actually,
five
I reached to
minutes.
you. I reached out to you through Facebook Messenger. I love
Yes.
social media and talking with my clients through a whole lot of different things. So I hope that wasn't crossing a line. But
No, not at all. Not at all. But, another thing that people should know if they're trying to figure out if they want to work with you, I found this out. I saw this aspect of your business before I ever even signed a contract with you and decided that, yeah, you're going to be my folks to do this work. And that's that your systems that you use are super great. They're very easy to use, but they're also secure. And I just could tell, like, you guys really have your stuff together. You've really thought through what workflow processes are to work remote.
mhm,
And at the time we started working together, I think that my previous accountant has an office in the town where I live, and they constantly expected me to drive over there. And it was really inconvenient for me to even do that, even though we're in the same town, because I'm on calls all day long. A
yeah,
lot of times I can't go over there until after 5 o'clock because I can't get away from my desk and what I'm doing. And they're gone at 5 o'clock. And so when I started talking to you guys and you were like, we can do this in Google Meet or in Zoom or whatever platform you want. And we've got a system to upload your documents that's secure. And so I saw that, like, you guys had really thought through what is this workflow going to be like for people who do not have time or want to drive to our office and deal with this stuff. Like, that's such an antiquated thing to me, and it's not how I run my business. Why do I want to work with an accounting company or a planning company that doesn't know how to use technology? My last company that I worked with, Tom, I don't even know if you know this, they didn't file my taxes 2 years ago. They just didn't send it in.
I did
And
not know that.
yeah, they didn't do it. And so then I got the letter saying you didn't file your taxes. And I'm like, I really paid you guys a lot of money to, not worry about not filing my taxes. And they were just kind of like, shoulder shrug. I guess we forgot. And
Mhm.
they were doing it all with paper. So how am I supposed to know if they sent my taxes off with a piece of paper? I don't know if they did that or not. And they just didn't do it. Uh-oh.
Oh my
Like,
goodness.
yeah, like, this is kind of fundamental stuff. And then I think they were really surprised when I said, I'm not going to work with you anymore after this. And they shouldn't have been surprised, but they were. So being able to trust somebody, seeing that the systems they have in place are workable for you in the way that you work, and that you can are going to be able to do things remotely. I don't want to have to wait. If I used to travel a lot, and I will be traveling again, I don't want to wait to deal with something until I'm back in the town where I live. I want to deal with it
Right.
if I'm in North Carolina or I'm in Washington State or wherever I am. And you guys have thought through what that is to make sure that it's safe for me and that we can do this work no matter where any of us are. And that means a lot to me.
Oh, thank you so much for that feedback. You're right. It does take time out of your workday to drive to someone's office, drop off paperwork. You've got to keep all the paperwork. You've got to make sure it's all there. And, if it's not all there, you've got to make a return trip. And it is very inefficient. You're away from your office, you're away from the people who need you there and your expertise. And we get a lot of clients in cities, major cities where, I mean, I have a client that does like LED and solar and things like that, actually for schools a lot
Oh,
for
cool.
the Prop 39 stuff over in California. And she is just outside LA. And traveling to an office in that area
Oh, it's
is an
impossible.
excursion. It's a
Right.
half day event.
Right. And I mean, you just do not have time to do that.
Right. Yeah, it's not workable long term, especially when
Right.
clients get really busy. And whenever they do ask about the office, I tell them, let just keep make another sale. Like, keep doing what you're doing. And you're right, technology has made things a lot easier. We do focus heavily on encryption. And I think I mentioned at the beginning of the call, training on how to identify email scams, how to confirm that your email is really coming from your client and their account wasn't hacked or it's a spoof. There's a lot of technology aspects and security aspects that we had to put in place. We've invested heavily on doing that so that our clients and our employees can work remotely. And I don't know if you've noticed in the news, but there's a lot of companies getting hit with the ransomware stuff right now.
Yes.
And so, we had to make sure that all of our systems are secure for that. And even if you're traveling to your CPA's office, there's no guarantee that they're still secure.
Right.
They may not be following that. So, you know, it it really is important these days to embrace the technology so that we can be prepared for things like ransomware, malware,
Right.
or scams. Identity theft. We've never had a client get hit by identity theft from someone filing their tax returns, because if you mail the tax return, the IRS does right now, they're sitting on millions of pieces of mail that they haven't been able to open or process. It's going to take a lot of time to get caught up because they haven't been able to work safely in the office. And when we e-file, it's safer because your stuff is filed. Nobody's going to e-file for you. Scammers love to e-file before the paperwork gets to the office. And when the paperwork reaches the IRS, they say, we don't need this. You've already filed, and it's
That
a
happened to me
mess.
too. Like, as if I could not
Really?
have another IRS disaster. Yes, it did. Same with my former accounting firm. Like I said, they did an e-file, they did everything on paper. And before the IRS got my taxes, somebody else had already filed my taxes.
Oh my gosh, did you have to
Yes.
go to the police department and file a report and everything?
No, I didn't do that, but the accountant had a form that I had to fill out, and I had to file that form with the IRS. And once again, I had like a 6 month delay before my taxes were finally processed because I had to fill out the form saying that wasn't me. And then it was just another big hassle. But I mean, you can see how many of these things happen because people didn't use technology efficiently. And like if it's not your thing to use technology as a business owner, like you need somebody who it is their thing to use technology for this stuff because it's to your benefit for technology to be used. And it is, like you're saying, Tom, a lot of people think the paper would be safer. It's actually not. The
Yeah,
paper is not safer. Um, a lot of people don't know too that scams like that happen to school districts all the time.
really? I
Yes.
didn't know that.
There's a school district in our area that got hit with a ransomware attack this year in 2021. And it cost them, it's a small school district, and it cost them $30,000 of taxpayer money to get their
Wow.
system back. And another school district not far from us at all in the Austin area 2 years ago lost $1 million because a
Wow.
secretary gave their routing and account number to someone who claimed that they were a business owner who was going to draft, a
Hmm.
payment that was due out of their account. She sent that money to the scammer, and by the time they caught it, that money was gone. So this
Wow.
happens all the time in every business sector. We are actually working on an online course right now. It's a required course in Texas school districts. Every educator has got to take a security and privacy course. And so we are actually working on a course that satisfies the laws in quite a few different states and helps people understand how to avoid basically giving out information or responding to
Right.
scams because they're not anymore something that a relatively smart, educated person can just easily recognize. They're much more sophisticated than they used to be. And so people get caught who don't think they're vulnerable to it because they've become so sophisticated.
They really have. This is not, and that's a great example of your value that you offer to these school districts. 30,000 and million, that's a lot of taxpayer money. That's a lot of students getting, that's a lot of student education. That's more headcount per teachers or more teachers for the students
Exactly.
and their programs and things like that. So that's so critical. And you're right. The training that we've had to do, it's extensive. It's not the broken English or the weird
The
characters.
prince from Africa. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
we
they're
all
getting
know
very
that.
sophisticated. And
Yes.
once they transfer these funds through, Square, PayPal, or Stripe or something to another country, and now the thing is they'll convert it to crypto and it's gone.
Right.
It's not like the old days where we could reverse an ACH or even trace a bank account. It hits crypto, and once it's part of the blockchain, it's gone forever. So then, sometimes people can be made whole by their insurance company or if they've got cyber insurance or something like that. But again, we go back to that time. How long does it take to prove to the IRS that it wasn't you that filed? They're going to have to do their procedure because those filings, they always get refunds. They 20, 30, $50,000 refunds. So then they've got to go find out where that money went. And it's a process all over again.
It's not
So,
worth it if you can avoid it.
right. Absolutely. So, what would your recommendation to someone who might be on the fence and they don't know if this service is right for them or if it would work for their business? And I know you said this quite a bit, but I just want to wrap up with that final message. If somebody's thinking about it or they're not sure who to trust or what questions to ask, or is this really a thing, what would you say to them?
Well, they need to contact you and they need to get you guys to give them like what you did for me is you gave me kind of an initial overview. Like you didn't
Mhm.
have a ton of information, but you took what I gave you and you gave me, like, if everything goes right, then this is how much money we think we can save you. These are some ways that we can do that. So, I mean, you guys built confidence with me because before I ever paid you anything, you were already helping me. And I love that. That's how we do our business too. So even if somebody doesn't do business with us, if they have a call with us or they have a meeting with us, we want them to leave that call or meeting feeling like, I learned something today that I can apply no matter what. And we feel like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
good karma or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And you guys do that too. You're not going to say, well, we have a wonderful plan for you and we'll tell you about it if you only, sign this contract with us. You're going to say, we're going to make a wonderful plan for you. Here's the beginning of it. This is what we think we may be able to accomplish. And that's what's going to give you the confidence. And you know what? If you do that and you don't feel the confidence or you don't feel like it's the right time for you, you have nothing to lose because you're going to get some great information, but probably what's going to happen is you're going to go, oh man, I didn't know like 55 things that they told me today. And so it's probably going to solidify your decision. So I would say contact this company and let them start the process with you. There's not going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be super low pressure, and you're going to come out of the experience better regardless of whether you decide to move forward. And that's what I'd say. Like you literally have nothing to lose by giving it a try, and you probably have a whole lot to gain.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're
I believe
welcome.
we do this with all of our clients. I don't believe in high pressure sales. I don't think people make good decisions necessarily under pressure. Some people do. Okay, I'll backtrack on that one. If you're an ER doctor, you
Right, that
probably
kind of
weren't really
person.
right. You probably
Please
weren't really
continue.
well. Yes. Uh, so you know, a lot of people really don't make I don't like making decisions
I
under
don't
a high
either.
pressure or, this offer is on the table until the end of the
Right.
call,
And
or
then it goes up double. And
right,
yeah,
or that's a sign of expertise. Also, that I would tell anybody is a a tax planner or an accountant who's been doing this for a long time. They can estimate what the savings is going to be. And our software does a lot of the heavy lifting. We've got pretty awesome software that we've developed that lets us do different scenarios. I think we actually ran a couple of for you if like the new administration, they talk about a lot of different tax laws and we like to map out what those would look like. Um, so anybody who's been doing this, they should be able to tell you what are the strategies and what is it gonna do for you, what's the value. And I think we even gave you the strategies. We give
you
everybody the
did.
strategies because that's not where the value is. I mean, I'm not going to deny that you could hit Google, you could hit the IRS's website, browse some YouTube videos, and find some of these things. The real value is getting as many of them as you can, implementing them perfectly within the tax law, and then making sure that they do get implemented properly because it's got to be done in that year. We can't go back and fix it the year after. So that's where the real value is. If anybody's gatekeeping what the strategy is, just what the strategy is, then I think that comes back to that trust issue, right?
Yes,
Is
right.
like, you know,
I mean,
I
I read a
trust you.
book, Tom. I read a book about tax strategies.
You did?
Yes,
Well,
I
whose
did.
book?
I don't remember. How many of them did I implement? Would you like to know?
Lay it on me.
Zero. I read the book. I learned
Yep.
the strategies. I thought, wow, I could save a lot of money if I did all this. And then like 3 years passed and I didn't do a single one of them. So
Oh, we call that shelf help. And I actually took that from somebody else.
I
I
like
didn't
that
invent it.
shelf help.
Yeah.
you could
I've
you
got
could do
some
the
of
shelf
those.
help.
Yep. I've got some of those. You buy it, you put it on the shelf, and it
Yep.
doesn't help you from
It
there.
it
But
didn't help me at all. But what helped me was Kristen emailing me saying, can you please send me these documents that you made to make sure that we've got documentation on this strategy? And I'm like, oh yeah, I needed to do that, didn't I?
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. Well, and I thought people ask about books. We do ebooks. I love ebooks. You can get the information out there. It's relevant now. I thought about publishing a book because Amazon will publish a book, but I just don't know how to keep it updated. And
Yeah,
I'm afraid of
right.
putting something out there that's going to be outdated
Yes.
and in print, that somebody's going to, buy it and think, oh, this all works. And
Oh
they're
my
not going to
gosh, I have the
know, oh, that
same.
law has changed.
Yes, I've had the same train of thought. I've actually been, I was so flattered to be approached by a publisher and asked to write a book for them about education technology.
Hmm.
And every time I'm just like, I don't know how to do that because I could only tell you what's true today right now, and I don't like books that are about philosophy. I want practical strategies that teachers can use. It
Yeah.
will be different tomorrow, I guarantee you. And by the time this ever even goes out, even if it's an ebook, it's going to be outdated by the time you get it out there, and keeping it up to date is almost impossible. So I really feel you on that. It's ever changing, and I don't want to know, really. Like, I don't want to even read the book because I don't need to know, because you know.
Yeah. And, you're incredibly smart and you know exactly what's going on in your industry. I'm sure that you could pontificate for like chapters and hundreds of pages
I
on
could do it.
theoretical, like you said, but that's not what you do. And that's
No,
not what we do. It's all about
right.
practical application, getting the results, just like you do for your clients. And that's why they love you. So,
Exactly. You too.
well, thank you so much, Amy Mayer from friEdTechnologies, for joining me today and doing a client spotlight. I think this was a really great conversation. I know I got a lot out of it.
I did
Just
too.
learning
Thank you
about
so
your business is
much.
awesome.
Yes. Well, I love what you do and I appreciate you guys so much. So it was great to have the opportunity to brag on you some and tell you how much I do appreciate you.
Well, thank you for all your kind words. I appreciate it too.
You're welcome. You have a
So,
great day, Tom.
thanks. I'll wrap this up. I'll get it out. I'll actually give you the video too in case you want to share it
Okay,
with like clips of it or anything on your social media or with
cool.
your school districts, because I think you said some really great things that the school districts need to hear too. And that's why I do the questions about your business, questions about ours, because I want you to be able to like chop it up and send it to your
Yeah,
email
that's a
list
good
and stuff like
idea.
that.
People
So,
do need to listen to that about the cyber safety thing. Like,
oh well,
they're
yeah. I mean, you've got that
yeah,
coming out. So,
they're taking what they're doing right now is they're taking these courses, and they're like, it's one of those where you can hit play on it and then walk away and like wash your dishes and stuff. And then, you come back when it's over and you've got an hour's credit, but
oh
you didn't
no,
actually see or learn anything at all. And ours is going to be like, you have to drag and drop things. I mean, you have to interact with the content in order to move through the course, because it's just so important. Like, people have no idea how much they stand to lose if they don't learn this.
yeah, I was surprised to find out that for these ransomware attacks, the statistic I heard, and I'm assuming this is true. I read it through one of the IT security companies that works with CPAs and the financial industry, and they said that a lot of malware, or not malware, but the ransomware actually sits dormant for anywhere from 160 to 365 days
Oh
before
my
they
God.
activate it. So, with these big companies getting hit, like Scripps got hit, that pipeline, I don't know their name, but there's a lot of these others that have come out after that. Um, they're getting really concerned because they're like, there could be
It could be sitting there right
thousands and
now
thousands of systems infected, and
and they don't even
who
know it.
knows? Yeah, it's crazy. Like
It
one
really is.
employee can download something or click on something, and the browsers and the web apps have become so sophisticated that your browser can run an entire software program. So they don't
Right.
even have to download executables anymore.
Right. Yeah, everybody, I mean, well, most people know that by now, but they don't need to do that anymore. But people think they're safe because they know things like that. And it's like, that might have helped you like 5, 7 years ago. That's not going to help you today to know those, like, don't send money to a Nigerian prince, you know, don't
Yep.
run executables. You don't know where they came from. Old news. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you get back to work.
You too. It's great
Thank
to
you so
talk to
much.
you.
I know it was fun catching up, and
It was.
I'm so sorry you had bad experiences before. I didn't
Oh my
know that
God,
it
so
was
many bad
so. I didn't.
ones.
I didn't know that you'd like had your ID stolen with the IRS and stuff. So I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, thanks. You won't let that happen again, so I'm all good.
No, we won't. We file electronically and we get our confirmation codes. And um, I mean, it's so funny to hear people say, you know, I don't want to connect my credit card account, or I don't want to connect my bank account, or I don't want to transmit this data. It's like you said, you can intercept an envelope so much easier
Oh,
than
yeah.
a 256-bit encryption.
Right.
And I tell people, like, these are all the encryptions that banks use to talk to each other. So
Right.
they're passing your data whether you like it or not. But
Exactly. It's happening, folks. I mean, it's just absolutely
yeah.
happening, with or without you. So might as well get on that ship.